We were sitting down at the boot shop, sipping coffee in a styrofoam cup, dreaming about the glory days from days gone by, of Tucson and Calgary, the Cow Palace and the MSG, and every county fair and stock show and big stampede. Well, he's a hero of mine, you see, damn sure more cowboy than I'll ever be. And you can see he's still got that far away look in his eye. When he looks back through the years, it's funny how time seems to disappear. He's a true Western original and the last of the breed. You can see those faded memories hanging on the wall, hear about the roundup and the daddy of them all. If a picture's worth 1,000 words, then the story's worth the wait. You know those faded memories are worth more than words can say. Tried to picture how it was back then through the dust on an 8x10. 50 years of freedom trapped inside a frame. Back when the chutes were made of wood, the men were steel and the broncs were good. Oh, how I wish some things had never changed. When I see those faded memories hanging on the wall, and hear about OKC and the 4th up in St. Paul. If a picture's worth 1,000 words, then the story's worth the wait. You know those faded memories are worth more than words can say. So if you're ever down off 281 where the Bosque River runs, won't you stop in and say hi to Chick for me? Relive those memories of the past, still alive there behind the glass. Reflections of the way things used to be. Yeah, you can see those faded memories hanging on the wall, and hear about the roundup and the daddy of them all. If a picture's worth 1,000 words, the story's worth the wait. You know those faded memories are worth more than words can say.
Oscar Walter was born on July 24, 1950 in Lethbridge, Alberta. At an early age, Oscar showed he had a gift with horses and spent some time with his cousin Eli Walter in Montana, who helped Oscar develop his gift. The two cousins spent a lot of time talking about what it would be like to be a rodeo cowboy, but neither one thought that either one of them would walk down that path. By the time he was 16, Oscar became quite proficient with working with horses, which led him to helping local veterinarian Jerry Niwa start Young Colts to Ride. And soon after, he found himself working with local stock contractor Alan Jones. Alan needed a rider for his wild horse racing team at the Rodeo in Coaldale, Alberta, and asked Oscar to join his team as the rider. Oscar agreed so long as Alan would enter him in the bull riding as well, which he agreed to. And Oscar competed in his first rodeo as a wild horse racer and as a bull rider. That fall, Oscar climbed on his first saddle bronc horse at Tabor, and 2 years later, Oscar attended a steer wrestling school put on by champion cowboys Kenny McLean and Arnold Haraga. He tried riding bareback horses at neighbor Eddie Reed's arena, but quickly found out it wasn't for him, so he stuck with riding broncs, bulls, and wrestling steers. He began traveling with Brent Thompson from Cranbrook, British Columbia, competing on the Chinook Rodeo Association and the Alberta Collegiate Rodeo Circuit. In 1970, Oscar received a call from an aspiring barrel racer named Mary Lynn Brown asking if he could take her to the rodeo in Three Hills, Alberta. Oscar said he would on the condition that she go out with him the night before. The two had a wonderful time and eventually became a couple. It was at the rodeo in Three Hills that Oscar started to pay attention to the calf ropers and felt that was another event that he could compete in and maybe have some success with on the amateur circuits. So he tried roping calves, realized he had a gift for that event as well, and before long, Oscar was now competing in the Amateur Rodeo Associations in 4 events, and won both saddle bronc and all-around honors in the Alberta Collegiate Rodeo Circuit. Around this time, Oscar, who had really developed a love for all things rodeo, began raising his own horses and even a few bucking bulls. A few years later, he sold one of his bulls to stock contractor Reg Kessler, who eventually named the bull Walter, and the bull would go on to become the 1975 Bull of the Year in the Canadian Rodeo Cowboys Association. By 1972, in addition to competing with the Chinook Rodeo Association, Oscar began competing in the amateur saddle bronc riding with the Canadian Rodeo Cowboys Association, and on August 16, 1973, Oscar married his sweetheart, barrel racer Mary Lynn Brown. 1974 would be Oscar's last competing in the amateur ranks. He decided not to compete in the bull riding that year, but continued to compete in the amateur saddle broncs with the CRCA and in saddle bronc, calf roping, and steer wrestling in both the Chinook and Foothills Rodeo Associations. He capped off his amateur career in fine style when he won the amateur saddle bronc riding at the CRCA Rodeo in Tabor, where he had climbed on his first bronc a few years prior, was the Foothills Cowboys Association steer wrestling champion, and the Chinook Rodeo Association's all-around cowboy. It was 1975 when Oscar decided to turn professional and won his first rodeo as a professional that year in Vauxhall, Alberta, when he captured the steer wrestling event. Over the next few years, Oscar began to thrive in the timed events. 1979 would be an extra special year for Oscar. At the spring rodeo in his hometown of Lethbridge, Oscar won the calf roping title, and in July he captured the steer wrestling at the Ponoka Stampede. The calf roping win at Lethbridge and another major win at the Big M Stampede in Morris, Manitoba mid-season helped set Oscar up to qualify for his first Canadian Finals rodeo in Edmonton in the calf roping event. After recording a no time on opening night of the 1979 CFR, Oscar placed no worse than third over the next 5 performances, surpassing scene leader Larry Robinson, Canadian champions Bill Reeder and Gerald Reber, and Canadian and world champion Jim Gladstone to win the 1979 Canadian Calf Roping Championship in the process. The next few years saw Oscar win rodeos in both calf roping and steer wrestling in places such as Armstrong, British Columbia, and Edmonton Super Rodeo, and he continued to compete throughout the 1980s. Over the course of his career, Oscar Walter was a true all-around hand, and rodeo was a passion for Oscar his entire life. In addition to his own success, he was just as proud of his wife Mary Lynn and daughters Rayleigh and Rana, who all went on to win Canadian championships of their own. He met a number of incredible people along the way, and after his competitive career was over, Oscar continued to be one of the most admired and respected horse trainers and horse breeders and rodeo consultants throughout North America. He and his wife Mary Lynn were honored in 2004 with the prestigious Equistat Barrel Horse Breeder of the Year Award. We presented Oscar with a plaque for his induction at the 2024 Lethbridge Pro Rodeo, where he was surrounded by his loving family and friends, and tonight he adds another achievement to his rodeo career as we welcome Oscar Walter as a contestant into the Canadian Pro Rodeo Hall of Fame.